To me, it's real. I don't want to keep, hey, make it sound like it's all bad. It's not all bad. I think, what happens in the public is the public. What happens in the, with the private is the private. And, as long as we're, still dependent on all this public stuff, public jobs, public services, it can definitely be something very, very scary. Like, oh my God, this is very scary. Everything's about to, the sky is falling, the world is over, blah, blah, blah. And I don't mean to be dismissive or facetious with regards to people who, are dependent on the public. But, if you don't like that, if it bothers you, you have to do something about it. And what you do about it is you start establishing your own thing, your own state. Hey, did you know that once properly executed, a trust becomes a federal entity and is not under the control of the several legislatures, meaning the several states, meaning the state legislatures? So when it comes to this show, the foundation, a lesson from the private side, I'm going to talk to y'all like I be talking to, a trustee on their first day. And I'm going to start off like this. There are over 80 different types of trust. 80. And if anyone tells you that they know them all, they are lying to you. And you need to leave. You need to walk away. Some would say back away slowly because you don't want to turn your back on crazy. Because anyone who says that they know them all, they are crazy. Hey, real quick. You got an accumulation trust. You got a business trust. You have a common law trust, which is the same as a business trust, according to, American jurisprudence. You got a contingent insurance trust. You got a constructive trust. You got a direct trust. You got an express trust. You got a family trust. You got a family estate trust. You got a gift tax exclusion trust. You got an insurance trust. You got an inter vivos trust, an irrevocable trust, a life insurance trust, a living trust, a marital deduction trust, a Massachusetts trust. You got a one-party trust, you got an oral trust, you got a payable on death account trust, you got a pour-over trust, you got a revisionary trust. You have a revocable trust, you have a self-declaration trust, you have a short-term trust, a spendthrift trust, a spray trust. You ever heard of a spray trust? How about a sprinkling trust? You ever heard of a sprinkling trust? Technical trust, you got a testamentary trust, you got a Totten trust, you got a trust by operation of law, you got a two-party trust, you got a voting trust, and you have a written trust, and that's just to say a few. So, when it comes to, what we're talking about today, a lesson from the private side, I'm going to talk to you like I talk to, the trustees privately. And that is, there are over 80 different types of trust recognized within the United States. Anyone tells you they know them all, they're lying to you. Walk away. Keep it pushing. Now, what I'm going to get into is very, very specific, and this is how I break it down, and I suggest you grab the Trust series if you really dig in my chili right now, you know what I'm saying, when I get into this. But the bottom line is the specific distinguishing factor with regards to the trust that we administer here at the foundation, the trustee, blah, blah, in the private, high frequency, and all other trusts that you may come into contact with, so on and so forth, is three things. It's three things. One, it is based on a contract. Bottom line is based on the common law right to contract. See, the common law was brought to the United States with the framers of the Constitution, the right to contract. That's when they executed, the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution for the United States, so on and so forth. These are all under the right to common law contract. You understand what I'm saying? So the common law being brought to the United States from England, the court system here is based on the common law, and the common law is based on natural law. So, a lot of people be like, yo, I heard you know about a common law trust and stuff. I don't know what you're talking about. Ain't no common law trust. I'm very specific. No such thing as a common law trust. There's a contract trust that was executed under the common law right to contract unlimited because you have the right to contract unlimited. It's very simple. And when you contract unlimited, and if you follow, look it up, the Hague Convention on Trusts, check it out. It'll tell you specifically. And a lot of it is like, unless it says otherwise in the contract, unless it says otherwise in the indenture, it shows you how powerful the indenture is and how big of an issue it is if you do not provide certain things in the contract, because the contract makes the law. So upon execution, this entity becomes a federal entity. It's on par with the United States. It's equal to the United States. Think about that. When I say you need to go private, you need to set up your private estate, that's what I'm saying. You need to set up an entity or estate, a group of entities that is on par with the federal government. You ever thought about that? Most people, don't put it into that type of context, but that's what it is. And that's what the Supreme Court has said. You're creating, in essence, a government. It's a private government. It's a private family government or governing entity, governing a state, however you want to look at it, by contract. Let's be honest, contract. Article 1, Section 10 of the United States Constitution states in part that no state shall pass any law impairing the obligation of contracts. And the elite in this country, they know, and they've known for generations, that when you set up your estate and your business through contract, you just made the law. A dignity of a contract cannot be set aside due to a tax advantage that results by design or accident. This is the Supreme Court. Dignity of a contract cannot be set aside because a tax benefit results either by design or accident. This is Edwards versus the Commissioner. Now, knowing this and being able to stand on this stuff is two different things. So let's just keep going a little bit. Now, this right here, what I'm gonna read from, is only available to trustees. You can't even get it. You can't even get it from high frequency. You can't get it from the foundation. You can't get it. But like, remember I said, this is a lesson from the private side. So this is what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna jump into this, and it's private. You can't get your hands on this in public, and you can only get your hands on this when you get into trustee training here on the foundation. We send this, a physical copy of this to you, for your for your private estate, for your private family law library. Because, you should be thinking about that. And, it starts with a single bookshelf. Really, it starts with a single book. But when we go private, dealing with law, and if you understand that we're administering, an entity that's on par with the federal government, you need to take that very, very seriously. And not on par with the power, doesn't have a military, so on and so forth. But when it comes to governance, when it comes to protection, when it comes to interdependence and impairing or saying what a contract with the trust can and cannot do, what the trustees can and cannot do, it's not even the United States can do that. And there's many Supreme Court cases where the Supreme Court was like, nope, can't do it. Sorry, nope. A trust organization consisting of a U.S. constitutional right of contract cannot be abridged. The agreement, when executed, becomes a constitutionally protected organization and not under the laws passed by any of the several legislatures. That is Crocker versus McCloy. Crocker versus McCloy. So right here, this is the private joke. This is, very private. One of the distinctive devices by means of which individuals may combine their resources to operate a business for profit is the so-called business trust or Massachusetts trust, which may be comprehensively defined as an unincorporated business organization created by an instrument by which property is to be held and managed by trustees for the benefit and profit of such persons as may be or may become the holders of transferable or non-transferable certificates and evidencing the beneficial interest in the trust or trust estate. Such an organization has been frequently termed a common law trust, but this phrase is not descriptive of any of the peculiar characteristics of such organizations. The basis for the terminology common law trust is this connection. It is not that such organizations are the creatures of common law, as distinguished from equity, but that they are created under the common law of contracts and do not depend on any statute. Business trusts are excluded from the coverage of the restatement of law on trusts, wherein it is pointed out that the business trust is a special kind of business association and can best be dealt with in connection with other business associations. Under the Uniform Commercial Code, the term organization, unless the context other requires, is defined to include a business trust. As indicated by its name, a business trust is an estate adapted to business or commercial activities. Reduced to its bare essentials, a business trust or Massachusetts trust, such as treated herein, consists of a combination of capital vested in trustees with a view to profit for the holders of evidences of beneficial interest. The Supreme Court of the United States has thus defined the Massachusetts Trust as a form of business organization common in that state, consisting essentially of an arrangement whereby property is conveyed to trustees in accordance with the terms of an instrument of trust to be held and managed for the benefit of such persons as may from time to time be the holders of transferable certificates issued by the trustees showing the shares into which the beneficial interest in the property is divided. A trust of this nature is created when several persons transfer the legal title and property to trustees with power vested in the latter to manage and control the property and business and pay the profits of the enterprise to the creators of the trust or successors in interest. In its typical and characteristic form, such a trust is brought into being by a declaration of trust, by the terms of which persons desiring to invest capital agree to the creation of a governing group of trustees, vest the latter with title to the property of the enterprise and with the control and management of its business, with provisions for transferable certificates evidencing the interests of each beneficiary or member for the existence of the trust for a certain period, without dissolution or termination by the death, insanity, or bankruptcy of the member, and usually for freedom of the members or shareholders from liability to third parties. Basically, a business trust organization is an adaptation of the ordinary trust to the new purpose of carrying on a business enterprise. It is governed by the principles of equity relating to trusts generally, concerning which it has been said, of all its exploits of equity, the largest and most important is the invention and development of the trust. It is an institute of great elasticity and generality, as elastic and general as a contract. This method of conducting a commercial enterprise is said to have originated in Massachusetts as a result of inability to secure corporate charters for acquiring and developing real estate without a special act of the legislature. This type of organization has reached its full development and most extensive use in that state, hence the name Massachusetts Trust. And this just goes to show. They were saying it was ultimately created to circumvent the inability to secure corporate charters for acquiring property and real estate development. So corporations couldn't do it, but trusts could at that point. It has been said that the type of organization commonly denominated Massachusetts trusts originated because of the hostility of some states toward corporations and out of a desire to secure some of the advantages of incorporation without incurring the burdens and restrictions thereto. Undoubtedly, this consideration was largely responsible for the great development of business trusts. It is no mere coincidence that their widest use and popularity have been contemporaneous with the increase in the regulation and taxation to which corporations have been subjected. So the more and more they increase regulation and taxation, the more and more business trusts and other types of contract entities are proliferating. It is unfortunate that this instrument is usually referred to as a trust. A more accurate name would be an unincorporated business organization. The word trust leads to the assumption that the business trust retains all the features of the more commonly known trust, which in fact are trust agreements, not trust organizations. A trust agreement merely holds assets until a certain event occurs. It is made directly between grantor and trustees who take possession of the corpus for a time and is not full ownership of property and fee simple. There are 9 basic aspects of business trust organization necessary to understand how and why it works legally. Number 1, it is formed by executing a contract between the parties, setting forth the purpose, terms, and conditions of its existence in the contract. 2, it is a legal entity and an artificial individual with rights almost equal to a natural individual, able to own property and conduct business like any person. It is irrevocable, and no one has any revisionary rights to its assets. 3, its assets are owned and its business activities managed by trustees who accept such responsibility as fiduciary on behalf of the beneficiaries. 4, the beneficial interests are divided into beneficial certificates or trust capital units in the case of a business trust, evidenced by certificates conveying to the holder the limited rights to receive their pro rata share of any distributions of income or assets that may be made by the trustees. Number 5, the capital units or beneficiary certificates are personal property which convey neither legal title to property nor any voice in management of the business or the selection of the trustees, and which become void upon death of the holder. Number 6, it is subject to taxation on its net undistributed income. The beneficiaries are taxed only on what they exactly and actually receive. So only on undistributed income is a trust tax. If it distributes all its income, ellipses. Number 7, the assets of a business trust organization are never subject to probate or estate tax. As an artificial person, it never dies. It is set up in contemplation of life, not of death. As a will is set up in contemplation of life, where trusts are set up in contemplation of, a will is set up in contemplation of death, where trusts are set up in contemplation of life. Number 8, the beneficiary certificates or capital units become void upon death of the holder and thus have no value to be subject to estate tax or probate. Number 9, the life of the business trust organization can be extended as deemed advisable or terminated at any time by the trustees in accordance with the trust indenture. The mechanics of setting up a trust essentially are fairly simple unless you're specifically dealing with complex language, in which case most of the time when you're dealing with a private trust, it's going to be some sort of type of complex language. Let me see. The grantor is responsible for setting up, grantor or settler, setting up the rules of the trust. The grantor writes the indenture, usually by editing a generic draft. He or she must personally display intent to charge the trustees with duties enforceable in court. As grantor, the grantor receives at least 1% of the capital units, typically in a business trust situation. And I would say that's more of a public situation. In a private, we don't really do that. Anyone placing assets into a trust in return for trust capital units becomes an exchanger. The most common reasons for becoming an exchanger are to provide financial security for children, aged parents, or others, and preserving assets for future generations. The trustees may allow exchangers to keep use of the property in exchange for services to the trust. Since all trustees have trust capital units and thus a stake in the trust, anyone who exchanges personal assets to add to the trust will find motivated allies to help build a strong financial base. So you got the grantor, you got the exchanger, you might have a manager. Some trustees, the board of trustees may appoint a manager, and sometimes trusts have a trust protector, who typically is chosen at the beginning, in the inception of the trust to work for the trust itself. The trust protector guards the trust by watching the trustees. With the power to fire a trustee for cause, the trust protector automatically becomes a counselor and mediator, although not involved in the early set of procedures. The paperwork in the original trust document appoints the protector. The use of the protector is more likely within common law trust, but can apply to an irrevocable statutory trust, but I don't recommend it. We got trustees. Trustees manage assets, protect beneficiaries, and most important, see that assets and funds multiply and pass through to beneficiaries. Further, trustees are responsible for faithful implementation of the trust contract or indenture. And you got the beneficiaries, people for whose benefit the trust is created. Persons, I would say. You can have trust can be a beneficiary as well. For whom courts of law uphold property, set up and manage trustees. Beneficiaries receive a percentage of earnings and assets of the estate and have not contributed to the trust set it up. For the private trust, this is about the beneficiary certificates named on the trust certificate register as beneficiaries instead of exchangers. In a statutory trust, beneficiaries are named and the percentage is set in the trust indenture. I'm going to stop there. This is private. I am in a public medium, but I understand what's going on today in the severity of the situation. I also feel like it's imperative for me to share this information. It's a responsibility of mine to allow for those who would like to and who want to learn, to be able to be put in the position to where they could, reestablish or just establish plainly their private estate. I know that it's not easy. I know, they're scammers. I got an email over the weekend. The guy said he was interested in something on welcometothefoundation.com, but, he wanted to make sure that stuff was real because he paid someone else in the conscious community. I'm not going to say their name, but I'm sure most of y'all, may have heard of this name, some of y'all at least. But it said, said the guy scammed him and stuff. And then, I understand what's going on out there. And, it's important to me to provide an avenue by which y'all could transition into the private. The public is going nuts. It's going to continue to, they're talking about a great reset and Fed coin, Fed wallets. And you may have to participate in this. I would just suggest that you participate in it through an entity that is not controlled by the states. If I could paint a more clear picture, I would, but I don't know how. Now, and I tell the trustees in the private, if you have any type of litigation from the state state revenue agents or anything like that, more than likely, it's going to run through the Article 1 courts, the administrative courts, and you're going to lose. They're going to rule against the trust. You have to appeal. Because being that it's a contract, it can only receive its contract protections in an Article 3 court. Because the contract protections is a constitutional issue. And Article 3 courts are able to hear constitutional issues. And I know people be fearful of going to court and stuff. I get it. But with trustee training, the training is taught from the aspect or from the standpoint of surviving an audit. It's like learning how to drive in the city. And that's your first experience of driving was in the city during rush hour, all this stuff. It might be a little stressful, but once you learn how to drive, it's normal. You can drive anywhere. You can pretty much drive in any city. Now, people who learn how to drive in the country and then come to the city, it's overwhelming for most of them. So, trustee training, you learn how to drive in the city. It's very important. It's education from the standpoint of surviving an audit, hands down. My mentors, we work with Internal Revenue Service agents, and attorneys and tax preparers and CPAs and stuff. You know what I'm saying? This isn't we 100% in the private, blah blah blah. Yeah. But the use of Federal Reserve requires an entity to report said use. Doesn't require to pay taxes, just to report. Trust, use a 1041. I know it's important. It's one of those things where I guess you either get it or you don't. But when you can put together, a trust is a contract. No state shall pass any law that impairs the obligation of contract. Article 1 courts are administrative courts, or what is known as commercial or civil courts. Article 3 courts are judicial courts. The judiciary can only provide remedies with regards to controversies that it has jurisdiction over, that it can hear, controversies that it can hear. The judiciary will definitely hear controversy what has to do with the impairing the rights of a contract. And if you're dealing with a trust contract, you're dealing with a private contractual entity. If you're dealing with a trust agreement, you're dealing with 9 times out of 10, you're dealing with some sort of statutory entity, some sort of statutory trust. So, it's up to you. It's 100% up to you. You have the option right in front of you to transition to the private. You have the option right in front of you to create, establish, and administer your private estate. You can walk in with paperwork. You print it off of your printer that you got notarized in the EIN and open a bank account for a trust. It's very simple. But in order to open a bank account for an LLC or corporation, you got to get permission from the state and the state seal, and you got to get the EIN, and then you got to go. It's amazing. When you print the stuff off on your printer, you go get it notarized, you take the EIN, you walk into the bank, and you open the account, it changes. It changes you. You be like, oh, what? This came out of my printer, fam. I didn't get this from the state or nothing, From the Secretary of State. I printed this off of my printer, signed my name, and got it notarized. It's a beautiful thing. They said that these trusts originated due to the restriction of corporations owning and developing real estate. They needed a specific legislative act. So these very, very smart individuals executed the contract and went around the law, the statutory law, by using contract law, which is superior to commercial law, to statutory law, legislative law. Because the Constitution itself is a contract executed under the common law right to contract. So anything that derives itself from the Constitution You feel what I'm saying? But it's public though. Look, we got about 5 minutes left in the broadcast, man. If you're checking out the show online, if you're on, you're going to want to call into the show, 563-999-3625. That's 563-999-3625. Otherwise, you will be cut off in a little less than 5 minutes. We will be going over because this is a lesson from the private side, man. Now, through proper administration, you got to go by the book. What's the book? The book is the contract indenture. You got to be serious. You got to pull no punches. But if you go by the book with proper administration, see, that's why I say these 12 steps, 12-step, do your trust, 12-step, set up your private estate. Here's a template in a PDF. It's 12 steps, how to do whatever. You just set up your private, national, sovereign, citizen estate. And you can't get a hold of these people. You can't get a hold of them. Why? Because they don't have any experience, man. They're just regurgitating and reselling stuff. You live in the age of the reseller. There's people reselling books. There's people reselling ebooks. There's people reselling product. There's people even reselling services. You live in the age of resellers. So you think the resale industry has not touched the conscious community? You're tripping. You're absolutely tripping. There's a bunch of resellers out here. And if you don't look close enough, they look like they straight up doing their dance. But when you're doing business through a contract, you can stand on the Supreme Court case, Edward versus the Commissioner, where the Supreme Court justice stated that the dignity of a contract cannot be set aside because of a tax benefit results either by design or accident. I feel like I laughed the first time I read that. By design or accident. Oops, I created this trust indenture and accidentally reduced the tax liability of this trust to 0. Oops. Well, how did I do that? They said by accident. And you understand a trust organization consisting of the United States constitutional right of contract cannot be abridged once executed. The agreement becomes a constitutionally protected organization and not under the laws passed by any of the several legislatures. Did you hear that? That's Crocker versus McCloy. I said that earlier. I know people be like, oh yeah, I mean this is the Supreme Court. I mean, man, it's hard to grasp the significance of what I'm saying. I understand. And I also understand that there's people who listen to the foundation for years, and it be that one show they listen to, and then he be like, yo, so it's not even really something that you said different. It's just that time when I heard it, it clicked different. I've had people say, hey, I read this document and, blah, 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 but I read it again. And it really hit me, Yeah, I mean, that's how it works. I'm telling you. That's how it works. When you can grasp the significance a trust organization consisting of the United States constitutional right of contract cannot be abridged. The agreement, when executed, becomes a constitutionally protected organization and not under the laws passed by any of the several legislatures. As simple as putting in an indenture, this trust is executed 60 seconds. 563-999-3625. It's as simple as putting in the indenture. This trust is executed and consists of the common law right to contract, U.S. constitutional right of contract. Just put it in. Just put it in the indenture. Just put it in there. Why not? Trustee training, you won't need to just throw random lines like that in your indenture. You will have the full dance. And Sot, Mr. L, what is trustee training? You might say. What is it, though? I mean, what is it? You talk about this trustee training all the time. Well, I hear you talk about it all the time. I went to the website. I didn't see anything where I can get trustee training. You talk about trustee training all the time. You even say peace to the trustees and trustee training. You know, every show you be saying peace to everybody. You say peace to the trustees and trustee training. What are you talking about with trustee training? Does that mean, you know, me just training myself? What does it mean? What does it mean? And I'm going to tell you. Trustee training specifically, it consists of the education with regards to the system of interrelating trusts. Education and creation with regards to your private family business trust, your private family asset trust, and your private family trust. Trustee training, establishment, operation, and administration, business credit profile establishment, as well as business trade lines, which is all that is necessary for full understanding, operation, know-how, procedure, and required agreements. This includes public business incorporation, operation, business credit establishment, as well as other public opportunities. Physical copy of a private trustee manual is shipped to you, your trust indenture, exchange certificates, certificates of beneficial interest, short form for bank accounts. Trustee training waives consultation donation requirements. All trustees get my private mobile number. Business trust, asset trust, family trust. Now, the administration, the education is on the administration. Because it's an education, you know, the foundation does not sell trusts. So through the education, you know, you use, quote, in quotations, templates, a template to you know, and obviously with my assistance and business trust, asset trust, family trust. It's your private estate. And that's what trustee training is, you know. You also get access to a Google Drive file. There's stuff on there that's not on the website. You know, there's law dictionaries in there. There's buck passing things. Supreme Court case files. There's a lot of stuff in there, man. There's a lot of stuff in there. You get access to that. Private phone number, business trust, asset trust, family trust, all types of documents not available on the website, welcometothefoundation.com. Help opening your bank account. Right? We even help you set up your LLC, incorporated. Get your bylaws in order if applicable. You know? Operating agreement, EIN, setting up your business credit. Getting set up for the system for award management if you want to get a cage code for the federal government and get government contracts for your LLC. Very familiar with that, player. It's included in trustee training. What else? People having my number. People call me, and they honestly and obviously not everything that's discussed is with regards to trust and trust administration. I'm pretty cool with that. I'm pretty lenient. I'm just very specific. I don't talk about things I don't know about, and I will tell you straight up, I don't know nothing about that. I don't have any problems with my ego. I don't feel like I have to pretend like I know everything. I'm cool. I'm cool with telling you what I don't know. But from, opening bank accounts, titling vehicles, titling real estate, opening brokerage accounts, trading stocks and stuff, what do you call them? Digital wallets, to PayPal accounts, to merchant processors, all using the trust. Setting up light bills, power bills, cable bills in the trust. I've done it. Very, very familiar with it and more. Financial endowments, life insurance policies, blah, blah, blah with the trust. So, that's trustee training. Trustee training, we go in sessions, It's, we go through the manual and instruction. It takes about 6 months to get through an entire session. And then we start over a new session. And there's no time limit. It's not a cutoff. Like, you've been in one session, so you can't. Nope. We start over a new session. As a trustee, you can stay in as many sessions as you want. Like I said, there's no cutoff. Everyone has a different learning style. I acknowledge that. There's been trustees that have been in training for over 4 years, some over 5 years. And they still call in to the training. Training is every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Every single Sunday. I don't really observe Western holidays. And, as a fiduciary trustee of the foundation, I take the training seriously. So, unless it's in a family emergency, I really don't miss trainings. And as always, I recommend you call me at least once a week, maybe more if you're just starting out in training. But from exchanging the assets, everything you own into trust, to evidencing the existence of the private trust in the public, we got you here. Trustee training. So if that sounds like something that you would be interested in, you should just email me, admin@welcometothefoundation.com. It will take consistency. It will take dedication. If you think you're busy and you say I don't have time, then boo-hoo to you. You will never have the time unless you take the time, because we can't make time. I'll make some time for you. I watch how people speak. I pay very close attention to people's words. And if you're committed, if you're dedicated, if you're tired of getting the same result year after year after year after year after year after year in this rat race, man, email me, admin@welcometothefoundation.com. I guarantee you I'll change your life. You dedicate yourself to learning, and you dedicate yourself to the follow-through, to the proper administration, to the recording of the minutes, to the evidencing, of the entity, to the lack of commingling and the non-existent self-dealing. This information will change your life. There's things that you don't know that you don't know. I'm serious. But there's a reason why you check out the show. There's a reason why you're listening to me talk to blank air. And there's a reason why the audience has been consistent. It's because, this is the foundation. The foundation is trust administration. Private trust. What's the foundation of the United States? Contract law. What are we administering? Contracts. Our contracts that we administer as trustees, they only come under trust law on how the income is dispersed and how the income is taxed, if it's taxed. In every other situation, it is a contract. And most don't know that. I'm going to say that on live, right up on the airwaves, straight up. And that's a jewel, fam. In every other instance, it's a contract. So if there's any types of allegations being leveled at you as a trustee or at the trust itself, and they're saying trust, you must correct them and say, well, actually, you're describing a contract. An executed, contract in trust form, but ultimately the foundation of this entity is contractual. How the income is dispersed, how the income is taxed, how the income is dispersed, how the income is taxed. In every in any other situation, it's a contract, player. What? You impaired? You look. That's that very day. I heard what you said, and it sounds regalious and extraordinary, but it also sounds like, if I were to, honor that I would be breaching my fiduciary duty with regards to, the trust that I administer. Because, if I were to do that, that would impair the obligation of a contract. I'm going to tell y'all something else, man. I'm going to drop this bang banger on y'all, especially y'all, because y'all, everyone that's on the line right now, we streaming. So you've been holding it down, or you called in late and you got lucky. Either way, check this out. I want y'all to think about this. I want y'all to think about this. Now I'm having second thoughts and stuff. All right, so I want y'all to think about this. If you're a minister in a trust, right, and you have name listed beneficiaries, right, and the board of trustees, we meet and we have named beneficiaries, and we can only distribute income or corpus to the beneficiaries, right? And then let's say there's a tax assessment, but the tax assessor or the revenue assessor, how do I say this? Is or is not the revenue assessor or revenue, a beneficiary? Are or are they not the revenue? Are they beneficiaries? Is they or is they not? You know what I'm saying? Is you ain't, nigga. So if there's a disbursement or any type of distribution or anything that goes to a non-beneficiary, is that a breach of fiduciary duty? Is that a breach of contract? Or is that? I just think you should think about it. I think a lot of cases have been dismissed for failure to state a claim for which relief can be granted. I think the claim is that there's an impairment of a contractual obligation. Dignity of a contract cannot be set aside. I've read court cases where the Supreme Court has roasted the lower courts, like roasted them. They either overturn it and dismiss it or whatever, or they remand it back to the lower court and tell them what they're supposed to do. We're dealing with contractual protections. I want to make an announcement, y'all. Care Bars is done, baby. I know people are still emailing me like, yo, what's up with Care Bars? I want to sign up for Care Bars because, a lot of people be in the archives and stuff. And I appreciate that. I think that's dope. But, hey, I don't know what's going on with Care Bars, y'all. I think they're donezo. I log in, and, you can't buy anything. And it's like, they hold your gold for free, right? Well, I was like, yo, send me my gold. Crickets, fam. Crickets. They owe money. I don't know how to get the bread. I'm waiting on this, this gold. I'm just letting y'all know, man. Was it a scam? No. Technically, no. I was getting gold. People were getting gold. It was working. I did some research, like, on a search engine. It was, whatever. Man, they got hit in Germany, which is the company. I mean, that's the country they're at. And then, like, some country in Africa, some legal stuff, saying that they're a scam because they was trying to do some, crypto stuff, man. They tried to get into crypto. And I think them trying to get into crypto tore them off. I think they're done. People calling me like, yo, I got an automatic payment that comes out of my card for Care Bars every month. And they, I noticed that they didn't take it. I'm like, yeah, they done. You can't buy nothing. They got this new site called Freebay. I don't know what it is. I'm not doing it. I'm very confused. Hey, I don't even know. And I was like, send me my gold, and that stuff's been pending. It's like a pending delivery. It's been pending since, is there a date on here? The beginning of last month. So, that's my Care Bars announcement. Shout out to the secretary for, reminding me of that. But I don't know what's going on with Care Bars. I think they're done. They were holding some of my, gold. I requested it. It's been pending for over a month. It's been pending delivery over a month, but they took the bread for the delivery charge. So we'll see. So, the next several shows I'm going to be making an announcement. Care Bars, I think they're donezo. Done, son. If you have gold that they're holding, you should try to get it. Tell them, to send it to you. If you were trying to sign up, if you were waiting, hey, man, it's donezo, and it didn't last. I'm looking into other ways of getting fractional gold because, I still think silver's relatively affordable for most people. So it's just the gold, man. It's up around $2,000 an ounce right now, and it's going to do nothing but increase. Yeah, stock market crashes when these funds, these hedge funds, and these different market funds and stuff, they have portfolios with a lot of stuff in it. And when the market crashes, they sell off gold and silver to, they'll cover their short calls and all their puts or whatever. So, when the market crashes, you'll see gold go decrease, silver decrease in so-called nominal value, but you'll see it increase, within the next week or so. It's just, don't even trip. But, hey, yo, check it out. There we go. Care Bars, that's the announcement. But really, this has been a lesson for the private side. And I know, I do keep stuff basic on the show. I do keep stuff real basic. But I did want to give y'all like a little glimpse into, the trainings, honestly. I wanted to talk about the trainings, break it down. You go to the website, it's nothing. You got to email me, admin@welcometothefoundation.com. I want to talk to you. I at least want to correspond with you. I want to, see if I can get a feel for you. I need to, check your energy. I need to check, how you speak or how you type or something, the words you use, because it's not for everybody. And there's been plenty of people where I was like, hey, this ain't for you. And they get mad and try to tell me I don't run a good business and all this other stuff. Y'all fools don't understand. I went to college and double majored in sales and marketing. I don't run a business when it comes to the foundation. It is a trust. It is a charitable. No, it's not charitable. It is a trust with an educational organization. It is a private contractual structure. No public statutes apply to it. You can discriminate all you want in the private. I can put on the website, no people from North Carolina can be in trustee training. You can't do nothing about it. I wouldn't do that, but there's nothing you can do about it. because it's a private contract. It's a trust. It's not a business. It's a trust with an educational thrust or purpose. Why? Because everywhere I went on the planet, the people who looked like me were in the lowest economic position. I ain't like being a token Negro. I wanted to change it, so I'm doing something about it. I'm not running a business. You need to run a business. Ooh, you need to run a business. It's not a business, fam. It's a movement. It's called the Foundation on High Frequency Radio Network. Like I'm not playing. I'm not playing at all. So when I say, the education of trustee training has been refused to many people, I'm not playing with you. People have gotten brolic on the phone. People have gotten brolic in the email. And that just lets me know you're not ready. I am a gatekeeper when it comes to this information. And I take that position very seriously. It's not everybody supposed to be over here on the private side. You don't want, if you got a private little beach, you don't want everybody on your private beach. It takes away from it. It degenerates the experience when there's a whole bunch of people just tearing up your private beach. You want a spot that nobody knows about. It's quiet. It's chill. That's the private. And the Constitution is there for when, the government encroaches on private rights. Other than that, hey. So, I see a couple, call, hands up in the call queue. I think I'm out. I think I'm, I know. It's kind of like a trade-off. It's like, you start the show earlier, but you don't be taking calls no more, I know. I appreciate y'all, though. It's nothing personal. Shout out to the regulars. Shout out to Yvette. Shout out to Brian from the Bay. Shout out to Mellow Bay. Shout out to, Daryl from Brownsville. To the regular callers, And, new callers, you trying to get in, maybe trying to ask a question. I'm sorry. I love you, but I'm sorry. I'm out here. I got a lot of stuff on my plate, a lot of stuff personal going on, but I'm still, taking the time to bring you the foundation. And I trust that you, appreciate a lesson from the private side. I suggest that you download this joint, rewind it, and listen to it a bunch of times. Because I really said some stuff that I'm assuming went over a lot of people's head. I really did. There's at least two things that were really critical, and some people will listen to this and be like, "Yo, whoa." And I'm like, man, I was just talking. I don't go back and listen to my shows after I do them, so I just take people's words for it. Well, the bottom line is I know how to run business. Like I said, I went to college. I double majored in international business and sales and marketing, man. So not only do I understand how to create and run businesses, I understand to create and run businesses internationally, and I know how to do the marketing and the sales for them. I did that already. I'm good. So, when it comes to business, sure. It appears so. It may look as though the foundation appears to take on specific characteristics of what you may know as a public business, but it is, in fact, a private contractual entity that is governed by its contractual provisions and administered by a board of trustees. The educational portion or initiative of the foundation is administered predominantly by me, So L. But I will also tell you, Sot L is a trust. I'm not playing out here. And I'll teach you that dance. Admin at welcometothefoundation.com. Hit me with the trustee training. Hit yourself, hit your life, hit your family. This is generational knowledge that allows for generational wealth. I mean, how do you think you can't? These people they're born. You know what I'm saying? They wake up 8 years old in their bed and they got millions around them. It's my heirs' destiny to experience such a lifestyle. Probably not my children. Maybe my grandchildren. Definitely my great-grandchildren. Watch. Or not. Either way, you do have the opportunity. Admin at welcometothefoundation.com. Say what's up with trustee training. You know, it's a contractual arrangement. You sign a contract with the foundation. You know, there's contractual obligations for you. There's contractual obligations for me. There's things, you know, it's all spelled out. There's no playing around. There's no getting scammed. There's no disappearing. There's no crickets when you need something. Consistent. This is what I wish was available when I came into this information. One central location with pretty much everything aggregated so I can set up my private estate and do business from the private. Because that Jew on the bow of that yacht, the size of an apartment building, told me that I need to look into trust. After looking at me very, very weird and inquisitive for several seconds when I told him that I owned all of my own intellectual property through my own publishing company. He was very impressed, told me to look into trust. Changed my life. That's how I came into this information. Boom, right there. Some people, you know, they go to the Fed, they get into mortgage issues, they get into credit card debt, whatever. They got child support. They went to, no. Me, I was on a yacht the size of an apartment building talking to a Jew and told him I owned all my intellectual property, and he looked at me really weird and told me I need to look into trust. Boom. From then till now is where Sot L came from and where the foundation came from. So from me to you, I trust you received this in great health. In the best of, the best of moods. Because this stuff right here will change your life, hands down. So I invite you to check out welcometothefoundation.com. Go to the education tab. Grab the Foundation Trust Primer. Grab the Foundation Trust Series, Part 1, Part 2. It's in depth, hands down. It's references. It's not a bunch of theory. I got Supreme Court case file. I got so many citations in there. I'm like a legal encyclopedia, one of these American jurisprudence. Every line I be trying to get from the Supreme Court case or some sort of authority. So you can't say, you said, I ain't saying nothing. I just repeated what they said. And understand the power of a contract, fam. Get out of here with all this Willy Wonka stuff. All this weird, you know what I'm saying? What's going on? And what's the deal with people not handling their business? You're supposed to do some, and you don't do it. I'll do it tomorrow. I did this. Oh, I'm sad. I had a long day. Man, look, man. I'm telling you, you're going to look at your hands, and they're going to be old and wrinkled and stuff. And you're going to say, damn. I shoulda, woulda, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Do it now. Do it today. Admin at welcometothefoundation.com. Trustee training. Quit playing. It's time to go private. Time to set up your own business. Set up your family business. Straight up. This stuff it's a wrap. We're about to enter a new world, new normal, new dance, new money, new currency, new all types of dances. But the foundation of all this is contract. foundation of all this is trust. So with that being said, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I trust y'all enjoyed the show. You know, you were able to pick up what I was putting down. You gained something. You leave this, this experience more full of information, more of an informed and well-rounded person, and more motivated to, work on your discipline and establish your private estate. I can't do it for you, but I could definitely help you, and I look forward to serving you. So y'all have a great week. Enjoy yourself. Take care of yourself. Live every day like it's your last. You don't know. Nobody knows. Love hard and forgive often. Assume ignorance over malice. Say 10 things that you're thankful for before you go to sleep at night. And I'll catch you next week here on the same hot, the hottest radio network on the planet. High Frequency Radio Network. Peace to the gods.
Doing this thing all the way live. High Frequency Radio.